Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Little Perspective. This is a host, Nikhil, and this is a host, Pranav. And we have a very special podcast today. Our guest for today is Ben Tingley, who's the founder and CEO of Bravo Tango, a full service marketing and advertising agency here in Regina, Saskatchewan. They also have an office in Kelowna, BC.
Ben's entrepreneurial mindset and his keys to live a successful life is truly one of a kind. I hope you guys enjoy hearing this conversation as much as we enjoyed having this conversation with Ben. And I hope in the end, you all leave with a little perspective. Okay, well, Ben, welcome to A Little Perspective. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good, thanks.
Yeah.
How you guys doing?
So
Pretty
far, so
good.
good. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's pretty
really excited for our first video podcast.
Yeah, after a very long time. I think since what is it?
2022, that's when we started like our first podcast, 2022 February. And we actually started in like a small room at the library.
Yeah.
And I remember we bought like super cheap
$30 USB
$30
mics.
USB microphones, and we started with an audio podcast. We just wanted to get started. Like, I'm pretty sure we still don't know where we're going, but we just know what our why is. And that's what just drives us.
Yeah. What's your why?
We believe in storytelling. So our why is to spread stories. Me and Nikhil strongly believe in the fact that the art of storytelling and people building like this sort of connection is slowly fading away. But we want to bring that up again. And I believe this podcast is going to be like the perfect mean to do it. Because it's such a guest intensive podcast. It's a guest heavy podcast. And we developed like this megaphone analogy where we believe that when our guests speak through that megaphone, it can reach numerous people around the world. It doesn't have to be within Canada.
Yeah. No, I love that.
Continent, any city. And if you can relate to it, our job's done.
So a little over 2 years ago, you guys started then?
Yeah.
How many have you done so far?
We've done 9 podcasts so far. Actually, Pranav moved to Calgary due to his internship, and then I moved to Saskatchewan, and then I was in India. So we were like far away, so we couldn't do. We tried doing podcasts alone. Like I did a couple, then he did some by himself. It's just something we started together, and we really feel that passion when we do it together.
So when did you both come back to Regina?
So I came back in late December of 2023.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was gone for the whole year. And when I came back for like a few weeks, I was like, hey, I might as well just record a podcast. I don't want it to completely die for like an entire year. Yeah. But now since I'm back, I still got more school until like April 2025. Yeah, so just going to be finishing that up. And now is the time to like pick it up. I think now we have to take it to like heights that we always promise each other that we will take it to.
Yeah, I agree with you. Storytelling's important. And you don't hear a lot of it anymore. And it reminds me of community. Like storytelling is about community. And I always think like our last house, we used to live in a bay. So it's, all your neighbors, you can see them. You're in this circle shape looking at each other. But we were pretty close with one of the neighbors, but everyone else, they just go in, open up the automatic garage door, close, you never see them, you never say hello. It's really weird, but like that's kind of the norm nowadays. You don't talk to the neighbors as much anymore, and everyone just puts up their fence and does their own thing, and so...
That reminds me of like this one thing that we recently talked to a potential guest for the podcast, and he mentioned like this really cool thing that he was brought up from like a small town in Saskatchewan, and he had like this idea that he wanted to portray in the current town in Regina where he's from. He mentioned that, say for example, there's a hurricane or like a storm, and somebody's porch gets blown off, or like their deck is like broken or something. They lived in such a tight-knit community that every single person would show up at their doorstep and ask them, how can we help? Yeah. I feel like that's something that's missing now.
Yeah, that's kind of where I was going.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. So that's cool. And so when you talked about the art of storytelling, and I think that's part of what binds community together and people together. So it's important.
Is there any story that you've, like probably a movie or a book that you read, something really inspiring, something that you relate to? Is there any story in your life?
Oh, I'm sure there's dozens. Lots of little micro stories and experiences I've had, and I wouldn't say there's just one grandiose single story though. I don't know. Maybe we'll squeeze a few out of me today in this chat.
Yeah.
Some will pop to mind for sure. But
What? So, like, how about we start with Bravo Tango? Like your story through the journey, how you started it, and what drove you. Like, what's your why? Why do you get out in the bed in the morning?
yeah, well, okay, there you go. There's lots of stories around that. I don't know where to begin. So my first, all right, where to begin? So I studied at the University of Regina. So I was born and raised here. I do remember after high school wanting to travel, just go kind of see the world, backpack, as they say, right? But my parents said, no, you go get a degree first, right, and then we'll talk, kind of thing. Anyway, so I ended up going to University of Regina for about 5 years. Still didn't really know what I wanted to do or study, and at the time, so I don't want to date myself too much here, but at the time I was kind of getting into marketing and communications, and I remember talking to this one guy. It's like he's just getting ready to graduate. He's like, oh yeah, well, what are you studying? He goes, oh, sport administration. I was like, what's that? He goes, well, it's like business. It's business admin, right, but we focus on sports and stuff and athletics. And I remember thinking on the spot, like, oh, that'd be so cool to be like doing marketing for an NHL team or something. Right. And so that's what I ended up enrolling in. And that was my decision, was based on one conversation, one encounter with a guy in the hallway. I don't even know who he was anymore. Like, I don't remember that. I just remember the encounter, right? So that's what I did. I focused on business and sports marketing. Then I graduated. Then I was traveled. I was like, all right, I'm doing this. So I sold my car, got a bit of money as a graduation present. And I don't think they do this anymore, but I bought this like open-ended plane ticket to Australia. So it was good for 1 year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you buy the ticket, and I flew out, I think it was like on Halloween, like 20 years ago. Flew out on Halloween with a couple buddies, and you can just come back whenever you wanted. The ticket was open-ended for a year, which was kind of cool. And I still don't know if they do that anymore.
No, I doubt it.
I don't think so. Anyway, yeah, so me and two guys we landed in Sydney, Australia, and did the hostel thing. And one of the guys met a girl pretty early, and so we lost him. He was long gone. And then the other guy was a teacher, or he just graduated in education. He was going to be a teacher. And he got a call saying, we have an opening. And there's not a lot of openings, right? So he was panicking, freaking. He's like, I got to get back to Canada. Like, I can't miss out on this one opportunity to become a teacher. I'm sure he was overreacting, but hey, man, that was his style. And so he came back. So I was on my own. So for the next like 9 months, I just backpacked on my own from hostel to hostel, city to city, up the coast. And then when I got up to the northern coast of Australia, like, I was like, man, like Thailand's not that far from here. Like, and when's the next time I'm going to be on this side of the planet? Probably not for a while. Yeah. So I bought a ticket, went to Bangkok and did the beaches and toured around there and met a bunch of people. And like, it's amazing because you meet people from all over the planet, right? And that was just really cool. So I was in Bangkok for like 30 days. And then how did it work? Like your passport, you're only allowed to stay there for 30 days as a visitor. So then I went to Chiang Mai. You cross the border, you get your passport stamped. I went and had a beer, turned around, came back into Thailand, and because it was like a reset, right? So I technically was in China for a day, but then went back to Thailand for another week or so, and then came back down the coast and ended up in New Zealand and Fiji, and it was wicked. And then came back when my plane ticket was up. Anyways, oh yeah, the point of this story is, this is a long story. So I came back home, and and I'm 24 at the time. I celebrated my 24th in some weird farm in Australia. That was weird. Anyway, I didn't know what to do. Like, I didn't have a job. I didn't have any money. But this is okay. I will date myself. This was like 99, 2000. So internet is booming. Everyone's on email now. Like at the time, there's like internet cafes, and you go book a computer for half an hour and check your Hotmail. There's no phones. But anyway, so I was like, well, I love that. Like, that's kind of cool. Maybe I want to get into websites or coding, like be a part of this internet craze, right? And so I went to Sask Poly and started studying. It was a 2-year program to study like web coding and web languages and computer languages. And the first year, that was a business certificate. The second year was all the coding. After the first year, it was summer, and so I went to get a student placement, and I ended up at the government of Saskatchewan in one of the ministries. And I ended up in their communications department. They liked me. I liked the job. So they asked if I'd stay on full time, and I said, yeah. So I never did go back to finish that second part of the computer program. I got the business certificate, but I didn't go back for the second part because, like, I'm doing something I enjoy. I was writing speeches for the minister, doing their marketing campaigns, working with their advertising agency, like as the client. It was really like I was totally underqualified. Like, I was literally writing the speech for a minister, and I remember once watching this movie called Blow. It's a really cool movie based on a true story. Okay. And in it, there's this like really cheesy line. And I wrote that into the speech, and the minister freaking read it. And I was like, oh my God, she's literally reading verbatim what I'm writing. This is embarrassing.
Felt like an imposter?
Yeah, totally. Imposter syndrome, 100%. And we can even talk about that if you want. Like, to this day, I feel it sometimes. But anyways, that lasted for about 3 years, but I started getting really antsy, right? And I was like, I don't know if this is for me, like this kind of 8 to 5 going into this downtown office building and cubicles everywhere. And I was like getting that, as you've probably heard it before, the term, the entrepreneurial itch. And I was like I would read business magazines, Fortune magazine, entrepreneur magazines. And like, that's when I got my kicks and my thrills out of that. And I was always writing down business ideas and trying to flesh them out and like, how could this work? How could that work? And a couple of my ideas went pretty far. Like, I'd meet with business consultants and lenders, or I remember once doing this idea for an indoor golf dome, and I had met with this guy that fabricates these like domes. Okay. And in hindsight, I'm like, he was talking to this young 25-year-old at the time, 26-year-old. It's like, going to some restaurant out east to talk about this dome that would have cost millions to build. And I'm like, I don't know if he was desperate to sell them, or like, I didn't like, in hindsight, he's looking at this young kid with these big ideas. And I don't know. And there's imposter syndrome there too. Anyway, point is, so I was getting the itch, and I saw this job advertised online or wherever to work at a radio station. And it was like, the way they sold it was like, you're your own boss. It's kind of like an entrepreneurial thing. So you eat what you kill. You're on commission. You can make all this money if you want it. It's how hard are you going to work, right? And I was like, well, this is fun, working with private businesses, getting to know businesses throughout the city. There was a bit of excitement there. And so I left the government and took this job. It was radio sales. And I hated it. It was awful. It was tough work. It wasn't enjoyable. It wasn't entrepreneurial at all. It was just pure sales.
So this made an ad that people would like want to.
I wasn't even making the ads.
No, but like that ad that itself that was posted, I guess it was people wanting to hear what they wanted to hear.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. I mean, they wrote it well. They sold it well. But you're right. It takes two to tango. And so I interpreted it like how I wanted it to be, right? And I only lasted like 9 months. Like, it wasn't fun at all. And I was working for one station, and the company owns, to this day, 3 stations. but each station is catered to a certain demographic. So females listen to the one station, like generalizing, but for the most part, females listen to this one. The younger generations listen to this station, and then rural communities listen to this station, we'll say. So there's different segments, but I was only selling one. So I go into a business and be like, hey, you know, how would you like to advertise on our station? And deep down, I'm thinking, your customers, you don't want to be on the station. You need to be on this one. But I wasn't selling all three. It was just stupid. Like, why would the company not allow me to sell all three stations? Yeah. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so I could go into any business and be like, oh, your clientele fits this demographic. You need to be on this station. Right. Instead, I was like, you know, I can sell all. You should be on this station, but I'm selling this one. How's it sound? You know, and that didn't fit right with me. Right. Anyway, so speaking about community, I don't know why I did this. I was wanting to network. I was wanting to fulfill my soul a bit more, do something a little more enjoyable. I don't know. But I volunteered for the Canada Summer Games. They were coming to town. This was a big deal. Like, this is like the Olympics for all of Canada. It's huge. Athletes from across the country coming down, and hundreds of volunteers and organizations getting involved, like taking over the city. Anyway, so I volunteered, and I was on their marketing committee. So I'd be going to the weekly meetings with the planning committee, and I remember one night, I didn't know anybody, but sitting around the table, boardroom table, and tossing about ideas on how to market it and get the word out. What are some neat things we can do? And I tossed a couple ideas out. And I remember after the meeting, one of the guys sitting at the table said, hey, I like your ideas. I like the way you think. And I work in an advertising agency, and we're actually hiring, and I think you should apply. And remember, I'm at this radio station. I was hating life. Here I am volunteering to do something I enjoy in the marketing world. And this guy works in an advertising agency, says, you should come work with me. It wasn't his company, but he just worked there. I'm like, okay. So I applied, and I got the job. So I started at this advertising agency, and I loved it. It was a lot of fun. It was exciting, working on different clients all the time, which means different projects. You never know who's on the other end of the phone or what email you're going to get. There's something new every day. And it's funny, the agency that hired me, their account was the Canada Summer Games. So that became my account. I was managing that. And it was amazing because they had a lot of money, and the CEO of the games was really open-minded. And so we did everything from TV to radio to some really cool marketing stunts and experiential stuff. And I learned it all, right? Because I was managing it all. So it was the best education in advertising that I could have got. I was hands-on doing it all. And then once the games were done, then I got a new account at the agency, and it was at the time, it was their biggest account. So same thing. I was doing television ads and experiential stuff and videos and internet. I was radio. I was doing it all. So I learned now we're talking 3 years into the job, and I'm learning everything there is about it. And I was like, I really dig this. And so I actually remember this entrepreneurial itch thing. So I still have that. It doesn't go away. I remember approaching the owner saying, hey, somebody told me he was wanting to retire. And so I had this idea in my head about, well, if you're going to retire, he's going to take over. So I approached him. I said, I'd buy in. Right. Would you sell part of your company to me, or maybe all of it? Not that I knew how to. I didn't have money, and not that I knew how to get the money. It's one of those things. It's well, let's strike a deal. I'll find the money somehow, somewhere. I don't know. I'll worry about that later, kind of thing. And he was like, yeah, well, I think that's a good idea. So let's start talking. So we started talking. And then, and rightly so. And I think in hindsight, he was like, you just kind of got here 3 years ago. There's people that have been here for since the beginning. It'd be pretty lame to sell the company to this new kid and not to the veterans or the people that have been there forever. Yeah. Anyways, and that's totally cool, and he's a stand-up guy, and I agreed with that move. So anyways, he opened the conversation to everybody. So now there's a group of 5 of us, so people that have been there before, longer, and myself talking about buying in. And then his buddy from the outside ended up this shocked me, came in, bought everything, and then was going to be in charge of who buys what. And it was just getting really messy and complicated. And like I said, I didn't even have the money. Like, it was getting expensive. And I'm like, I don't even know how I can afford this. And if I could raise, like, we're talking like $250,000 for like fraction, why wouldn't I just start my own?
Because you're still not getting full ownership of that.
No, that was just a piece, like a tiny piece. But anyway, so now my brain's thinking about that. But so there's two things going on at the same time here. So that's one part of the story. The other part of the story is because my brain, the wheels are always turning. I'm thinking about different business ideas. And remember, I was talking about the radio stations targeting different demographics. So this agency targeted a certain demographic, like larger budgets, government agencies, government accounts, and rightly so. Like, they were crushing it, and that's where all the money was. But what was happening was they weren't really targeting the smaller, medium-sized businesses, the smaller private shops. The money just wasn't there to feed that machine. And in my role, if we did work on a smaller account like that, I'd often get a phone call or an email saying, well, why is this invoice so high? Like, I just asked you to do this small project. Well, this person had to work on it, and then this person did, and then another person had to review it, and then it went back for editing, and then the creative director had to look at it, and everybody tracks their time, right? And so by the time you're done, and the invoice is submitted, there's like 12 hours tracked to this project that probably could have taken 2 hours. But that's just the way that machine was set up. So I built first I had the idea of, how do we take this machine and target the smaller to medium-sized businesses? Like, is there a way, maybe a different price range or different teamwork? I don't know. But the owner, I told him my idea, like, why don't we target this side? And he's like, yeah, good idea, but no.
Just brush it off.
Kind of. Yeah. But, and again, like I said, like, this isn't slight on them. Like, and to this day, they're crushing it. Right. So they're doing something right. But there was still an underserved market. So I built a business model and a business plan to target that market. So these ideas are percolating. I got a business plan going. This buying into the company thing's not working out. It's getting messy and complicated. So this is all happening. But things just were steady, and there wasn't much change, and went to work every day, did my thing. And I'd say maybe 6-9 months later, after my business plan was done, the guy that helped me on it phoned me one day, and it was at work. He's like, hey, Ben, you still want to do that business plan we worked on? I was like, well, yeah. He goes, well, I have a client, because he's a business planner, so he's got clients that are running businesses. So I have a client that needs help with a logo design and a website design. If you're in, let me know. And I was like, let's do it. So that was my first gig. So I gave my notice. I said, I'm leaving to start my own thing, and wish me luck. And they didn't actually believe me, and I think they kind of laughed a little bit, which fueled my fire even more. They're like, well, stick around for 3 weeks, because remember, I was managing one of the biggest accounts, so they kind of needed me there. And so, okay, it's kind of weird, but sure, I'll stick it out for a few more weeks. But just so you know, I'm
leaving soon.
Well, not only that, but I'm kind of competing with you. I'm doing what you do here. But they didn't really, believe it, I guess, or didn't think I'd succeed. Well, I knew for a fact, I heard rumblings of people laughing and, oh, he'll never make it. And anyways, I think it was 4 or 5 days in, they walked me to the door. They're like, yeah, I think you got to go. Because I think it dawned on them what I was doing. A reality set in, holy shit, Ben's starting an ad agency. He needs to go.
What were you feeling in that very moment? I know it must have been a shock that first I'm getting this on one hand I'm getting this notice, okay, I have 3 weeks here. Yeah. The day I walk in, they're like, okay, time for you to go. What were you feeling in that very moment?
Oh, I don't remember. I think my adrenaline was going. And I think I saw the writing on the wall, so I wasn't really surprised. I probably thought something like, surprised it took you this long, or maybe a sense of relief too. I was able to, at that moment, it was like the pressure was released, and I was able to focus 100% on the new dream, right? So yeah, it was probably mixed emotion, but I think probably a release of pressure. Yeah, so in August of 2008, on a Monday, it was August 18th, 2008. It was a Monday, day one. So I got to work on this one project. I should look back on my files and see what the second one was, but there was a second project, probably a referral, and then a third, and then a fourth, and I just 15 years later, I'm like, it's been nonstop. I had to hire my first employee. So I started in August, and then in January, I hired my first full-time employee, and then that September, my second, and then very shortly after that, fourth. And then, you start growing. So then you have to hire somebody else to manage some other stuff. So now there's your fifth. Well, then you got to bring on more clients because you got to pay all the bills and salaries. So then bringing on more clients means you need more people to manage them. And it's this like constant thing of growth. And today there's like 25 of us. And all started from that one idea on how to target this new underserved market.
I'll ask you a very selfish question here.
Yeah.
So, there's a guy who just graduated from university, right? And of course, you take courses at university. Okay, you think you like finance, you get into it, you get a job. But when you go to the job, you feel like, maybe that's not for me. Mm-hmm. What would you say to that person? What would be your advice? What would you say to that guy?
Well, that's a reality, and it happens all the time. So first, I'd want to make sure that guy you're talking about is, it's okay. It's normal, so don't feel bad. I have another story around that too. But anyways, I would ask, what is it about the job? Is it the culture, the people? Do you still enjoy finance, just not this employer, or what,
I feel like the employers and everything's great.
Are we talking about you?
No, not me. No way. No.
Anyway.
I think that entrepreneurial itch is something that's in that person. And you can't just work for somebody else 9 to 5. Maybe that's not something for you.
You're right, though. It works for some people. Like I said, there's 25 of us here, and I know, some people, they don't want the pressure of owning a business. At 5 o'clock, they want to shut their computer off and go home, go to the cabin, go to the beach, go do yard work. They just don't want to think about work. When you're the business owner, your brain doesn't shut off. It's 24/7. There's no 5 o'clock. And if you have to come in on a Saturday, you come in. For years, I came in every Saturday to do admin stuff because Monday to Friday, I was doing the work, the running the business. On Saturdays, I come in and do all the paperwork. I never had a Saturday to myself for years. And there's a lot of people that get that, and they're like, gross. I want weekends to myself. You just pay me 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I'm good with that. Yeah. So there's something for everybody, right?
But then if you do that, you'll end up like everybody else. People talk about work-life balance, and which is great. You need to have that. Yeah. Think about this. There's, suppose a football team who trying to win the World Cup, right? Do you think they'll just practice 3 hours a day and just settle for that? No. They got to put in the extra work.
Oh, yeah. A lot of work.
Right? If you want to achieve that, you have to put in that work. So I get what he's saying.
Yep. But yeah, so back to your question, if there's a guy who's studying finance and got a job doing finance with the company, well, you're like me working for that government department. I just wasn't enjoying it. It wasn't for me. But don't panic, don't rush, but identify, well, what would be for you? Where do you want to be? I'm a huge believer in vision. If you can't identify where it is you want to be, you can't reverse engineer it to build the steps to get there, right? So if you can't identify, well, this is the ideal job. This is what I'd love to do. Okay. Picture that. Where is it? What is it? Who is it? whether it's a job or a company or a business you own. Then you work backwards. What are the steps I need to do to get there? Now start 1, 2, 3, and be patient. A lot of people want it overnight, or a lot of people don't want to. They only want to put the 3 hours in and not doing it every day, 7 days a week. It's hard work, and that's why a lot of people don't succeed at starting a business.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's good to hear.
So the idea talk about the vision, need to have a vision, reminds me of a quote that I heard from this guy named Ryan Holiday. So he basically talks about Stoicism, which is a Greek philosophy from Marcus Aurelius. So he says that if you don't have a destination in mind, no wind is favorable. Like there used to be sailors used to take their ships out and they had a destination in mind.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a destination in mind,
That's exactly
you'll
it.
just go
Yeah.
anywhere.
Yeah. 100%. You have to, anything in life, like not just your job, but like envision it and think about it and manifest it and plan it out and then work at it. Take that first step, then the second, then the third. You have the plan. You saw your vision, you built the steps. So, and I mean, like, I did that with my company though too. I knew where I wanted it to be in 2, 3, 5, 10 years. Built the business plan. I knew the steps to get there. Once I launched, I knew what other steps I had to take to build it up and keep it healthy and survive. So,
I gotta ask you about this one question.
yeah.
So, if there was a machine that could go inside like a person's brain and give us like a glimpse of how they function, how they think, or like what their vision exactly, what you said is. So, if this machine went in your head, what would be like a glimpse of Ben, from the mind of Ben?
That's it's messy.
But you did say like you're like that's what the difference is like from a business owner and employees. So I want to get to know like what goes on in your head. Like what would that machine tell us?
Oh man, I don't know. What is going on in my head? Well, like I said, I've always got ideas turning, whether it's for this business or my clients. Like, so part of my brain's always on work. Like we're working with a client now who needs a name for their new restaurant. I'm literally thinking of names and jotting them down, or I'll text them to myself. Like, and I'm not purposely thinking of this new name, for example, or other client projects. It just happens. It's weird. It's always on. In fact, I guarantee you during this chat, I'll probably think of something and email it to myself, right? So that's always going on.
Right.
What else is, what else is going on in my brain? I don't know. That is a tough question. Yeah. What do you think would be going on in my head? How do I answer that?
From the conversations we've had so far, I would say that you, and this is like me personally, what I think. Like, of course, like I can't exactly tell you, but like the drive for you, I don't think that's ever fading away.
No, you're right. There is a drive, and I think that's why that example of me thinking about a new name for this restaurant is just on auto. Right. I'm always thinking of ways to be different or do things differently for like the business, to be the best we can be. Yeah. I like. Okay, you want a glimpse of my brain? Like I see other businesses driving around or listening to the radio or whatever, and I'm always thinking like, why'd you do that? Or you should do this, or what makes that business tick? Like, I'm always thinking like that. Right. But it's not like business 24/7. I mean, I go to the gym, I swim, and mind you, when I swim, it's just like, I try to count laps, but I miscount the laps all the time because my brain is like thinking about work, or, oh, I got to talk to one of the staff about this, or I just had an idea for a client, and I have like 7 ideas after I swim for half an hour. Get back to the office, I think I might remember one of them. Like it's pretty wild, but and I have a family too, so I often think about, okay, how are they doing, or how can I help them? Son's going for his license, daughter's going for a sleepover. What's that mean? I gotta prep supper here, or today I'm thinking, I gotta clean the garage. I got a pressure washer. I got to take that out of the box and test it and clean out. I don't know. My brain, there's always something going on in my brain, but I'd say I'm a pretty like productive guy though. I don't like just sitting down on the couch. And at the end of the night, I enjoy that, flipping channels and watching old bad movies and stuff like that. But during the day, I don't like to sit still. Just go, and there's just too much to get done and do. And
your personality is very similar to this guy we follow, Gary Vaynerchuk.
oh yeah, Gary V.
Gary V. And he's very similar to you. Like, he's also into marketing. And he also says, just put in the work. Because you seem like a guy who would beat the hell out of his competitor just by putting in the work.
I don't follow Gary V. I think I have like a love-hate relationship with him. I started following him early on, and I'm like, and I think the hate part is like, and hate's a strong word, but it's like, I don't know this guy, but he's got millions of followers.
Right.
He's probably crushing it in his marketing company. And I see people like, oh, did you see what Gary V said today? And I was like, well, I said that. That's what I say. That's what I do. And so that's the hate side. It's like, this guy's making millions. And I'm like, nobody's listening to me. But so I know what you're saying. I agree with a lot of his philosophy and his approach. And I've said before, like, unless you're building rockets like Elon Musk or something, like that's next level. But for the most part, the secret to success is like, it's not hard. I'll tell you it right now. You'll get it on record. Do you want to hear it?
Let's do it.
There's 3 things. Work hard. Be good. You don't even have to be great. Just build a good product. So work hard, build a good product, and be nice. If you can do all 3 of that, you'll win. And it's wild how many people can't do all 3. They don't want to put in the work. There's one, you need to do all 3, but a lot of people don't want to put in the work. They just see the end result of somebody else, and they want that automatically. They don't realize how much work was put in to do it. And like I've told you before, I was coming in on Saturdays and Sundays, and it's nonstop. And your brain is always going. People want to shut it off at 5. And as the business owner, as the entrepreneur, as the founder of whatever you're doing, it does not turn off. So be prepared to put in the work and be good. Like, there's so many bad products out there nowadays. It's disgusting. There's bad customer service. Nobody cares anymore, and everything's just mediocre. And we, as a society, we seem to like be okay with that. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, that's not cool, you guys. Where's our pride anymore? So just be good. If you're going to build an ad agency, the work you're producing needs to be good. If you're going to build a security system as your product, it's got to work. It's just got to be good. Yeah, if you can be great at it, even better. But just be good. Because there's so much mediocrity out there that good is better than mediocre. And you will stand up. And be nice. Be respectful. The golden rule: treat others as you wish to be treated. Be polite. If there's a lot, like, back to my customer service thing, people just don't care, or they're like, I work with people often, like on the other, like, clients or suppliers or whoever won't return phone calls, or like, let's say they miss a meeting, or like, grind me for costs. Like, hey man, we're all in this together. Like, we're just trying to make it, go at it and pay the bills. Like, be nice, and it's amazing, like, when you're nice and respectful and you treat others with respect and abide by the golden rule, people want you to win. They're like, I like that guy. Hey, oh, you're looking for a logo design? I know a guy. He's a good guy. He works hard. They do good work. Give him a call. That happens all the time. People want to support community, right? So be a part of that community and help it thrive.
So that's actually fucking amazing. Like, I love that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like people are overcomplicating everything now that they don't realize it's like these basic core values that you have to follow. And which is funny, like you've been taught that since you were a child.
Yeah.
Given that you have exceptional parents, everybody does, and they teach them the right values.
Yeah.
Those are the exact three things that parents teach you as well. Which is funny, like how you're mixing that into like a form of success in your career or like your business or something like that, which I love. Now, talking about like a leader, so what's the secret sauce to be an ideal leader, and how do you put that into like action for yourself?
I think you need to lead by example. And back to what I was saying, treat others as you wish to be treated. And like, if there's a job that you wouldn't want to do, then don't expect somebody else to do it. So I will be the first one to get my hands dirty to do it. And that, so I think leading by example is a huge thing. And I always like first one in the office, last one to leave. I want people to see that I'm putting the time into. Like I said, we're all in this together. Right. Respect is huge. You have to be able to see the world from your colleagues' eyes. It's not about me. It's about them. They have a life. They have a family. They have dreams, passions. I'm pretty sure it's not working 9 to 5. Okay. Yeah, so I try to build a fun environment. I got bills to pay. They got bills to pay. So we got to do this. We got to go make some money, okay? We agree on that? Yes. Let's build a fun environment at least. It's respectful here. It's friendly. You can be yourself. Like, if we got to do this, let's do it. Make a good environment.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
What's with the orange color?
Oh, that's just kind of our thing, right? Every company's got a brand, a visual brand.
Is it related to anything like?
No. When I got our logo design done, the original logo was orange and like a really dark gray, blue-gray kind of thing. And then recently we just went to all orange, but it was just always been a part of our colors.
Right. Because it actually reflects like your logo everywhere. Like the lights are orange.
Oh yeah, that's all done on purpose. Yeah.
And
The boardroom glasses are orange. Yeah. It's our branded colors. Just like a sports team has their color. Right. Just like another business you'd see out in the world has their color scheme. Ours happens to be orange. But there's no like huge strategy or big thing behind it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of things in life and in business, luck is a big part of success. I know I talk about working hard, but there's also luck. And a lot of people who are successful, if you hear their story or you read their biography or something like that, right place, right time. Luck. In fact, it's all luck. But you make your own luck. I got lucky running into a guy. Like if you go back to trace my steps, if I didn't volunteer for the Canada Summer Games, I would not be sitting here today. That was lucky. But I had to put in that work. It was me who went out on my own personal time to volunteer to go to these committee meetings. I know a lot of people that they don't want to volunteer. They just want to do their own thing. That's fine. It wasn't for me though. But I put in the work. And because I put in the work, I created my own luck. So they go hand in hand. Like you can't just sit back and hope luck lands in your lap. That'll never happen. Right. So that's what I mean by you create your own luck. Right. But if you look back at most business owners, they were in the right place at the right time, but they pushed themselves to do that. They crossed the right path, luckily. So there's a bit of both, but you have to create your own luck.
One thing that you mentioned, like one of the 3 golden rules or like the 3 pillars of success to actually be successful is like working hard.
Yeah.
That's something that I feel like is also missing now. Like Nikhil and I like follow David Goggins a lot. Okay. And he talks about like this one thing, and that's like he based his entire life on that, is how badly do you want it. Like I go to like the gym, and like by no means I'm like the biggest guy or like the strongest guy there. I'm not. But I hear like a few people come up to me and talk that I've been lifting for numerous years and still not able to lift what other people are lifting. This is not even about comparison, just about themselves, that like, why am I not able to do it? There's a simple question there. How badly do you want it?
Yeah.
Because lifting it, like even lifting is not that hard. It's just two things. Eat a lot and lift heavy.
Yeah.
That's all you have to do. So get the right nutrition and lift heavy weights. So people come up and they're like, I'm not able to lift XYZ weights. I don't know why. I've been lifting for 6, 7, 8 years. Well, do you want it that bad? Because if you did, you would have achieved it.
Yeah.
So do you like have like that same mentality? Like how do you?
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. It's consistent. It's persistent. And you have to keep at it. It's really easy to say no or to give up. And it's like similar example. Like I swim a lot. Like I swim laps. And I started going to the gym a few months ago, actually. So now I alternate. Like if I do swimming one day, I'll do the gym the next and let the muscles relax and whatever. I thought I heard footsteps. Anyway, but it's like, it's funny. I bring my swim stuff to work. And at lunchtime, I'll go to the pool. I don't think about it. I don't contemplate it. I just do it. And it's like become... It's like instinctive. It's weird, but it's like, and I know some people, oh, you go swimming like every day. I'm like, well, yeah. If you think about it, yeah, I do. Like I don't even think about it anymore. I just do it. Like it's become part of my nature. But so that's kind of what you're saying. You just gotta ingrain it into your everyday life and into your. Same with work and even your passions, whatever it is you enjoy doing. You just gotta work at it. And a lot of people just see the end result. I think I said this earlier, but you can't just get the end result without putting in the work. Yeah. Like it doesn't work that way. And I think a lot of people want that. Oh, I just want to be a millionaire. Or I just want to be a CEO or VP. And it's like, okay, well, the VP, like that person's been working for like 20 years, working up the ladder. They started where you did. Like, why don't you try that? And it's wild. I see in my position as a business owner, I talk to a lot of, prospects, staff, salary negotiation, just anything like that. And I see people that are like, well, I want to make X amount of dollars. I'm like, start at the beginning, work hard, and you'll work your way up. But all these people want the VP level titles and salaries right off the hop, and it's wild. I don't know what happened to
Patience
and hard work and entry level and figure out how the organization works and meet people and work your way up. And I don't know, it's weird.
And I don't think there's a better feeling than that. Like, I don't know, like me personally, I just think it this way. Like if you get something that you really badly want, you're not going to value that much. Because like how you're talking about, like these past 13, 15, X amount of years, you look back and trace your steps. I feel like that sense of gratitude is, you can't express it in words. Like if you were given the opportunity to like own Apple tomorrow, you could like do so many bad decisions, or like I could make so many bad decisions that it's going to go down in the drain. Because I didn't work hard for it. I don't see what their CEO sees or how like the people actually see it. I just got it, so I won't value that much.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah, I totally believe that. Like I remember once seeing a competitor who's since shut her doors, but I was watching them, and like, because they were coming up, and like I said, we kind of cornered and built a moat around the small to medium sized business. That's because that's who we started out targeting. So we figured out how to work that and how to build a business around that. And so we did really well at cornering that, but this other company was coming up, and that's naturally who you target, is that area, that demographic. Anyways, point is, I remember seeing the founder CEO doing a selfie podcast or whatever, some sort of video, a day in the life of. Yeah. I think we talked about this once, but she's sitting there doing yoga and sipping her tea and going for a walk around the lake in the park. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? Like, it's 10 a.m. by now. You should have been in the office 3 hours ago. You should have been the first one there to unlock the door for the staff. No, you're out there showing me how you do yoga under the sun. And I knew right then that this business isn't going to last. Wasn't putting in the work, but I think she just wanted the CEO title, the founder title, right?
Exactly. Exactly. The people that who have done it, like I think we talked about the same thing. I might be like repeating myself, but the people who actually are at that level. So if Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, actually does it, do you know how hard he has worked to be at that level? And if he does take a day off explaining like what he does as his hobbies, he gets a pass.
Yeah.
That guy gets a pass. David Goggins, well, I don't think he would ever do that. The dude's like on a different level. But if he did, he gets a pass. He was 300 pounds, got down to 106. He was the 36th black African American Navy SEAL, and he's done like the training like Hell's Week 3 times just for the hell of it, because he wanted that. He wants it that bad.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm by no means like a workaholic, and I could probably grind harder, to be honest, for the record. But I also believe in like, well, this is just for me personally. Everyone's different, but like later today, I'm gonna, like I said earlier, I'm gonna go clean my garage, and that's peaceful for me. I'm gonna enjoy it. I'm gonna break out the pressure washer. That's gonna be fun. Like, I'm not working. You know, I won't be at the gym for 2.5 hours. Like, I need some me time. But there are people that do work 12, 16-hour days, 7 days a week. And they're, you know, financially, they're crushing it. But, hey, man, to each their own. I don't judge. I don't care what you do. I know a successful lawyer in town that works easily 7 days a week, probably 14-hour days.
And the person has a family?
And he has a family. But you know what? That's his thing. That works for him, makes him happy. His family has accepted it. That's how they operate. None of my business.
No, of course. Yeah.
I couldn't do it. I wouldn't want to do that. But I am willing to, you know, come in a little bit earlier and stay a little bit later. But and if the need's there, I'll be there.
Yeah.
But it's just working 7 days a week. It's not for me. No.
What do you enjoy doing on the weekends? Like, except for swimming, of course, that swimming and gym. Like, do you go for
Well, in the summer, or like I guess when the weather's a bit better, I love yard work.
Okay.
Like, not the heavy lifting stuff, but I mean, I could putz around the yard all day, just working on the grass, trimming the trees and the hedges, and picking things up, making it look clean. That's fun for me. I enjoy that. It's relaxing. Like I said, gym or swimming. I love watching old movies, like 80s movies to me. Or
What's your favorite movie?
I don't have one favorite movie.
Or like, what's your favorite genre? I know you talked about a lot about war movies. You love war movies?
I wouldn't say I love them. I love all movies. Mostly, probably. I have like a top list. I don't have one favorite movie. Like True Romance is one of my all-time favorites.
Oh, it's called True
Romance. It was Quentin Tarantino's first script. Yeah. He sold it, the script.
Oh.
And I think it was Tony Scott did the movie. Right. But if you watch that movie knowing it's a Tarantino script, you can see it. You're like, okay, that makes sense. But it's a really good movie. It's like an action movie with a bit of romance, right? Written in Tarantino style, and it's just such a well done movie. So that's one of my favorites. I love like Interstellar is a great sci-fi.
Nolan's great.
Yeah, Christopher Nolan's amazing. And like I said, 80s movies like Risky Business is one of my all-time favorites.
Never seen that. Okay.
It's so good, and I mean, when you watch an 80s movie, and, you know, we're in the year 2024, right. Some of them don't age well. Some of the graphics are kind of funny, and but that's part of the art to me, though. Like, there's no CGI in these older movies, and like RoboCop is such a great action movie, but like the robot in it, that like the bad robot that RoboCop has to take down, is really bad, but it's so bad it's good. Like, I miss the art of movie making when they would build the props. Like in Star Wars, they built all those sets and all the like the new Star Wars that came out and it's all CGI, and you compare it to the original Star Wars where they built the sets and the props, it's night and day. Like I miss that. Yeah. And like,
And it comes back to the point you're talking about mediocrity.
Yeah.
Like these new movies are so mediocre. Because, like, take an example of Christopher Nolan. That guy, to shoot Oppenheimer, he did an actual bomb blast. Nobody would do it.
Guaranteed, you're totally right. And if somebody else were to redo that movie, like if you gave, there's a movie out there actually, I forget what it's called. It's a script. And they gave the script to like 7 directors. And they didn't know who was all doing it. And they each direct, and it's a short movie, but because 7 directors did it 7 different ways, it's a longer movie because of that, right? But it's interesting to see how 7 different people made the same script. Anyways, back to Oppenheimer, I guarantee you that of the 7 directors, 6 of them would have done CGI for that bomb blast. Christopher Nolan was like, fuck that. We're going to blow some shit up. That's what I would have done. And if I were ever to do a movie, I'd love to make a movie, to be honest. Yeah. I toyed around with studying film as well, but my parents were like, no, you're not going into film. Was that the right decision on their part? On my part? I don't know. I'll never know. Probably a good decision. But anyway, no regrets. Actually, that's one of my guiding principles, too, of if there's a decision to be made, fast forward 10, 20 years, maybe even 40 years, are you going to look back and say, what if? And if you are, then do it. Don't have regrets.
That's exactly what Goggin said too.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he was giving like this speech in front of like a bunch of different people. Because he's like a motivational speaker at this point too, right? He's written 2 books. He's like a bestseller author. So this lady asked him, when you're in that moment failing, what do you tell yourself? And he says, what if? Mm-hmm. So when he walked into like the Navy SEALs recruiting team, he was 300 pounds. He came down to 106. He was told that there's only been 35 African American Navy SEAL officers in the past 70 years. Mm-hmm. So he asked himself, what if I can be the 36th? Mm-hmm. And that mindset that he has, it's insane. Like, and like he I think I shared that to you as well. Like, he was talking to this one I think it was on a podcast as well. People come up to him, they're like, you don't know what I'm going through, you don't know what my life is. But he's like, no, I do know what you're going through. That's the mindset you have to get out of. I saw this amazing quote yesterday. It's like, the victim mindset will have you dancing with the devil and complaining you're in hell. Yeah, you have to get out of that mindset. Because what if there's something better out there? You could complain and sit in the corner and be like, shit's not going right. Mm-hmm. Life's not perfect. Well, it was never meant to.
Yeah, I see that a lot actually. A lot of people think the world owes them something, or they just want to sit there and complain and think they should be given this whatever. I'm just like, the world owes you shit, man. Like, yeah. But whatever. Like I said, teach their I'm going to worry about myself first. You whatever. But
there was this video that went really viral during the bombings of like Israel and Hamas when the war was going on. So what the journalists did is they took a few children's from North America and they asked them, if you could have anything, what would you want? They were like, oh, I would have this much money, I would have this iPhone, I'd have this, I would have that. And then they took some children from Hamas. Yeah. You know what they said? Wow. If I could see my mom. Yeah. If I could have my brother by my side. Yeah, wow. And then people sit there and complain in their office who are earning thousands of dollars. You know, my computer's not working. Is that what you worry about? Really? Yeah, well. Yeah. But yeah, I get your point. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, we're speaking of war and stuff that's going on, I mean, we've got it pretty good here, and we should be grateful and have that gratitude, right? But I try to have that perspective, just take a step back every once in a while and be like, we got it pretty good here. And I was actually talking to this guy the other day, and was talking about how somebody was complaining and the world's going to shit and it's falling apart, and I said to him, I looked out the window and saw some birds chirping and a blue sky, and it's like, it looks pretty good to me. I don't know. Yeah. But this guy was going down rabbit holes on the internet into some dark places about conspiracies and all that. And I was, anyway, what's that?
Have you seen the movie Gladiator? Russell Crowe?
Yeah.
So it really hit me when you said, when somebody is complaining, you were looking outside, looking at the birds. So the movie starts by this leader. What was his name? Whatever. So he was this Greek leader. Yeah. He was the, he was leading the army of Marcus Aurelius. Yeah. And the movie starts by him looking at trees, looking at birds chirping, looking at the world from a very outer perspective. Yeah. But he's in the middle of a war. So it really hit me when you said that.
Okay. That's Gladiator? That's Gladiator. Oh, I haven't seen that in a long time.
I gotta watch it.
That's an old movie.
I want to watch it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite war movie is gotta be 300. The original Leonidas one.
Yeah, I've only seen that once when it first came out, but I remember really enjoying that.
Gerard Butler is amazing in that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it's just something about it. I can't stop watching it. I've watched it I'm 22? Probably 22 times.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
It's one of those movies that you can watch over and over.
Insane. His speeches, the way, he's so powerful. Even when he's about to get killed and everything. Well, spoiler alert, I don't know if anybody's seen it or not. But he's just one of the most powerful people I've ever seen. The way he portrayed himself. Yeah, it was insane. I love that movie.
Oh, cool. Watch it next time it's on.
Yeah.
Yeah, like how we were talking about movies, Risky Business. That's one of my faves as well. That's in my top 10. And it's about a guy who's in high school. His parents go away for the weekend, and he's a rich kid, a wealthy family. His parents are gone for, I don't know, a week, we'll call it. And one of his buddies, actually one of my all-time favorite quotes comes from that movie. How does it go? I should look it up. It's just say what the fuck. It's he's talking about opportunity because he really wants him to throw a party and his parents are gone. Yeah. He's like, Joel, his name's Joel. Sometimes you got to just say what the fuck, right? And it's I'll look it up actually really quick here. Anyways, the point is so he throws this party, and they bring escorts and stuff, and then he gets robbed. And while he's at school, the escorts and their boss steal everything from the house, literally everything. So then he's got to get it back. But he's really entrepreneurial. And he's got to get into the college.
Now I see why you love it.
Yeah, so he uses that as a business opportunity. And so he's running this business, and he meets up with this escort, and they team up, and they okay, we need to get money back. So they host another party, but they charge entry, and they make a killing. And the guy that's coming to interview him to get into this prestigious college shows up during the party, and they're like, oh shit. And so he just has an honest conversation with him, and then you don't know what happens. And at the end of the movie, the father comes up to him, and he's like, we need to talk. And you're like, what? And he goes, I just got off the phone with the college admissions guy. And he's like, oh shit. You know what he said to me? We could use a guy like Joel at our school. Right? And it's and it ends like that. And I'm just like, oh, this movie's so great.
No, probably gonna give it a watch then.
It's 80s, right? So oh yeah. Sometimes you gotta say what the fuck. Make your move, Joel. Every now and then saying what the fuck brings freedom. Freedom brings opportunity. Opportunity makes your future. And it was based on that. In the driveway, he's got his arm around him. He says that. And you're like, okay, I'll have a party.
Honest question. And tell me honestly, how many times have you used that quote working here?
All the time. There we go. All the time. But it's it's so true. What the fuck brings freedom? Freedom brings opportunity. Opportunity makes your future. So it's all connected. And it's he's basically saying, if you don't try, nothing's going to happen. You got to make your move. And that's the same with business. Sometimes you got to say, what the fuck, and just do it. Let's go. Let's get our hands dirty. Let's try this. Because at the end of the day, A lot of people talk about failure, and for a while, I don't see it as much anymore, but for the longest time, and up until recently, it was like, failure is good. It's okay to fail. Like, go fail. Like, there was this weird, people were holding up failure like it was this. On a pedestal. Yeah. And I always thought, it's not the right message, you guys. No, it's not okay to fail. It's like, no. It might happen. You might reach an obstacle that you got to get over. You might get set back. That'll likely happen. That's normal.
Not something you should look
But
forward
don't,
to.
if you're going to launch a business, you have to plan, research. You need to succeed, you guys. It's not okay to fail.
Because why were you starting it to begin with if you just looking for failure?
Yeah. So do the research. Do the market research, the competitor research. Talk to friends and family and then throw them your idea. How are you going to react to that? Plan it out. Dive into the books and the numbers. Plan it out. Don't just say what the fuck and jump and do it without thinking. That's not cool. No, go ahead.
So what this mindset reminds me of, I play soccer, and back in India when I used to play soccer, we were told that you cannot lose. Losing is something that, you should not be okay with. If you lost, accept it, work for it, and then next time win. When I came here, and I met a few people who used to play soccer for recreation, and they're like, we're just playing for fun. It's okay if we lose. And I'm like, no, no. We come here to play. We come here to win. It's not okay to lose. It's not okay to fail.
Yeah, and you know what? You're not going to win every game.
Yeah.
So what happens? You're going to lose. That's fine. I think that mindset of failure is okay is what they're trying to say is if you fail, the business, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Get back on your feet. Try again. But the delivery of that message needs to change. And be no, it's not okay to fail. Do your research. Do your planning. I remember when I launched BT before, I remember going for regular coffees with a couple of businessmen in town. Told them my idea, see what they thought of it. They're seasoned. They've been around the block. I didn't just do it without talking to anybody. And funny enough, they were some of my biggest champions when I launched and helped send business my way. They even gave me some of their business. That's awesome. And that wasn't my plan. I wasn't interviewing them and picking their brain in hopes they'd give me their business when I launched. I never once rested on those laurels or assumed that. Yeah. But being a nice guy, working hard, and I was actually doing good work, right? They were like, oh, we can give him this guy. If I wasn't doing good work and I was just a nice guy, they're like, oh, good luck, man, but you're not getting my work. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's like that Simon Sinek quote that goes people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. Mm-hmm. So as long as you have those 3 pillars of success, that's I believe that's your foundation. But your why really sets up the stones on that foundation. Yeah. If you have a solid why that people are like, no, we do need that. Because anybody can come up with a business idea that everybody's replicating, right? Yeah. But finding a loophole that you can fill out, that's what people need, is believing in your why.
Yeah. And you know what? If you have a good business, or you've launched a unique product, or you're the first to market, guaranteed there'll be copycats. And if another agency opened up and their founder or their leaders or whoever's on their exec, whatever, if they were really hard workers and they were doing good work and they were super nice people, I'd be like, oh shit, we've got a good competitor here. But it's fascinating that a lot of people don't want to do all 3 of those pillars. It's wild.
And I think we talked about this in our talks before as well, our chats, that you should be grateful for copycats and haters too. That means you're doing something right. Mm-hmm. Alex Hormozy said that on Chris Williamson's podcast. Oh, yeah. That the day you don't have copycats and haters, then you're hey, we got to restructure. We got to come back. Yeah. We got to regroup because we're probably doing something wrong. Because if we do have copycats, there's people that want to replicate so many things that you probably do, but they just can't do it because they don't have it here. Yeah. They have it on paper. How you mentioned about that lady who was doing the get ready with me or something, a day in a life or something.
Oh yeah, a day in a life.
Yeah, exactly. You could replicate what the most powerful person, the most experienced person has done. But it came from here and here. They don't have it on paper I'll make a script, I'll do this and this. Yeah. It'll be successful. That's just for views. That's instant gratification. You don't see what the long game is.
Yeah. So yeah, so towards the end of our podcast, what we do is like a rapid fire round. I'll ask you 3 questions. He'll ask you 3 questions, and it's like not rapid fire. Just have to answer in a word or like a sentence. Just something light.
The lightning round. You ever watch Jim Cramer, CNBC? He does a
It's like a
finance stock show.
okay.
Okay, that's cool.
Usually about 6 o'clock every day. I'm not endorsing him at all. He's pretty wild. But he does a show at the end of his show. He does the lightning round.
What was the name again?
Oh, it's Jim Cramer. Might just be Cramer.
Jim Cramer. Okay, I'll note that down.
Yeah.
What the heck's it called?
Time to Google it.
It doesn't matter. I won't. Yeah, but anyways, he does a lightning round. People phone in, and they throw a company at him, and he quick tells you why you should buy it or sell it or hold it. But it's like 5 seconds, and then click on to the next call.
We won't ask you to buy anything. Don't worry.
Don't take stock advice from me.
For sure. So my question to you is, what advice would you give to your 20-year-old self? If you had to answer it in one word or a sentence.
Buy Bitcoin.
Okay.
No. I totally would, man. My 20-year-old self?
Like the Ben in front of us, what would he have? What conversation, or like what would he tell his 20-year-old past self?
Start investing and play the long game. I don't like. They don't teach investing in high school or universities, really. Nobody talks about finances. It's the missing piece, I think, to all of society, like our community, our, everyone. Nobody talks about it.
Yeah.
And there's the people that have mastered it or got into it early, and it's not a complicated thing, but it's a long, slow game, and they build up wealth over time, and it's like everybody should learn about that, and nobody does. And I had to self-teach myself. Self-teach myself? Is that a thing? Anyways, and the first stock I ever bought was Honda. I made a few bucks off that, but I didn't know what I was doing.
Was it off of a whim, or you had like some, like you said, research or something?
No, I was in my late 20s. And it's just the way my brain works. I think about businesses and companies, and then I'm like, well, what's the stock market? And, I look into the stock market. Oh, that's how it works. Oh, okay. Opened a broker account, and I was like, oh, pretty nervous. And I was like, well, I respect this company, and I like what they're doing. And it's like they're solid vehicles, and everyone's driving a Honda. And I was like, I don't know, I'll throw a few $100 at it. Not a lot of money, maybe $1,000 or something. I think I made $500, sold it, and I was like, oh, I kind of like this. But like, why didn't? Oh yeah, if I put that $1,000 in the bank, I'd have $1,000 in the bank, like 100 years later. But nobody told me about it growing up. I didn't know it existed, and even to this day, when I talk to somebody, like, oh, how do you do that? Like, nobody knows. Why not?
I think it's companies drive a lot of things these days. Like I heard from somebody, I think it was Neil deGrasse Tyson. He was talking about how in schools, in universities, you're not taught about probability of lottery, because if you're taught that if you put your money in lottery, the probability is so high of you not winning that people won't buy lotteries. So that's why they don't teach it in school, because they want to have that business run.
Yeah.
You want to have that companies still having run. So I don't know. It's just my theory.
Oh. Well, they're starting to do finances in school now. I think people are starting to get the picture, like, oh, we're like this like financially literate country. Like, I don't know. Anyways, they're starting to incorporate it more and more now.
What's the worst advice you've ever received?
Worst advice I've received?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. probably a I don't know.
Like maybe you had a boss or somebody who told you, you should do things, you should do this, and you're like, what? No, that's not how it works.
Well, I do like I don't know. The tough thing about being a business owner and entrepreneur is like it's hard. And some days I wonder if I would have just gone the corporate route where I'd be today. I don't have regrets, and this isn't bad advice. This just reminded me of the story. But I do remember working at my previous employer at that ad agency. I got offered a job at FCC here, and I went through I went through the hoops, all the interviews, and I got it, and it would have been a huge raise too. So I went in to give my notice, and to my direct boss, and they're like, okay, sorry to see you go. So he would have gone and told the owner, and the owner called me into a room and had a one-on-one with me at a table just like this and talked me out of it. And so I had to go back to FCC and say, I've decided not to go. Like, he talked me out of it. To this day, would I maybe be the VP of marketing there making awesome money with this amazing pension and all these holidays? I don't know. I'll never know. But instead, I'm grinding it out here for $1 and rarely take holidays, and I'll never no pension. I'll never know.
But you still, at the end of the day, you sleep
Entrepreneurial
better.
itch.
You have the entrepreneurial itch.
Yeah, so I probably would. You know what? In hindsight, I don't think I would have enjoyed it or stuck it out.
No. Talking to you now, I don't think so.
No.
You'd be like, yo, I'm
But-
out here in 9 months.
It's one of those, but when you have a tough month here or a tough day, or some clients aren't paying their bills, like that happens. It's normal. Well, it's not often, but it's, you know what I mean. It's part of being a business owner. That's when you think, wow, well, man, what would life be like if I just worked 9 to 5? I could shut my brain off and have this amazing benefits plan and this huge pension, and because we live in a government town. I see a lot of people who have that set up, and sometimes I'm envious.
Right.
It's certainly less stressful, but you're right. I don't think I would have enjoyed it. This I enjoy this too much.
Exactly.
But somebody has to do what you're doing, right? Somebody has to run Bravo Tango, like this great marketing company. Might as well be you. Might as well be the leader.
Yeah, well, yeah, has to be me.
What do you value the most in your life? The one thing.
What do I value the most of life? Well, like I said, looking out the window and I see a blue sky and the birds chirping, like we got it pretty good here. And by here, I mean like Canada, Regina. Life is good. I've got a good, healthy family. I value that. Yeah. Health is a big thing. Like without your health, you got nothing. I don't care how much money you got or how many businesses you own or stocks you own or what job title you have at FCC. It all means nothing without your health. And I have a healthy family, and that means a lot to me.
There's this quote that I've been hearing since I was like 3 years old, that if you've lost wealth, you've lost something. If you've lost wealth, you've lost nothing. If you've lost health, you've lost something. But if you've lost character, you've lost everything. It kind of binds into the health part.
Yeah, no, and that's true. Like, character is important, and I think what they always say, like, it takes years to build a reputation, and it takes a minute to ruin a reputation, right? And that's about character, and absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll ask you the last question. What's your favorite restaurant in Regina?
Oh, what is my favorite restaurant? Depends what I'm in the mood for.
Okay.
I kind of don't like. Depends what I'm in the mood for. I don't know if I should.
Suppose if you had to go out and eat right now, where would you go?
Right now, so it's lunchtime. I might go to Italian Star to get one of their homemade sandwiches.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, I like sandwiches for lunch. If I'm in the mood for steak, I really like steak. And I know the reason why I said I don't know if I want to answer this is because I know there's I want to support local, but the Keg makes a really good frickin' steak. Earl's makes a really good steak. If I want like a hamburger, Leo's. Go to Leo's for a burger, or Chop makes a good burger.
All in all, we'll see your
Pizza, like Regina's, we're known nationally for our pizza. Like Houston Pizza makes. I live by Houston on Hill Ave, and they're the OG pizza, and they make a really good pizza. Tumblers and Triffons, they all make good pizza. I like pizza. I can't eat a lot of it, or I'll, put on too many pounds.
I got just one last one.
Yeah.
One last one. One superpower you could have. Anything. What would it be?
I've thought about this before too. What was my answer? Invisibility, maybe?
Yeah.
Flying would be cool.
Yeah.
I think I'd like to fly.
There we go.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Fly with the eagles.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a bald eagle just the other day flying above my house.
Here?
Yeah.
I heard they have a few in North Saskatchewan, but I didn't know they had it in Regina.
Yeah, I
that's insane.
think I was walking my dog. This was on in Lakeview. I look up and I was like, "Are you serious?" Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
That's perfect. Well, Ben, thank you so much for today.
You're welcome. That was a good chat. Enjoyed storytelling time.
Yeah, no, this was one of the best conversations we had, so thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, man.
Okay,
Awesome.
perfect.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.